Hello everyone, welcome back to the Big Home Ed Conversations. I'm Kelly Rigg, I'm a home ed mum of two and a qualified mindset and ADHD coach. I'm passionate about supporting parents and neurodivergent families as they navigate children not okay at school, and ultimately then the transition from mainstream schooling into home education. I'm here together, as always, with my wonderful co-host, Ashley Vanerio. She's a fellow home ed mum of three and a former primary teacher. So we created the Big Home Ed Conversations podcast with what began as honest, heartfelt talks around her coffee table, kids running around our ankles. And it's now grown into a space where hundreds of listeners now tune in for real, unfiltered conversations about alternative education mindset and educational philosophies, and often the really emotional journey of home education as well. So we try to cut through the noise and focus on what really matters to home educating families on this podcast. We really hope that that is something that you've come to know and love. We are here with season 5, which is just mental. I cannot believe that we're in season 5. I don't know about you, Ashley. I never imagined when we first started doing this 2 years ago that we'd still be here and still doing it. It's just crazy.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible and super exciting. And I think we have such a good season planned. So it's going to be amazing.
I think what's really nice about this season is a few months ago, we had a really lovely company reach out. So it's a brother and sister duo. The sister is a home educating mum and her brother is a developer, and they are working together on an app called Strew. They've reached out to us and asked if they could sponsor this season because they love the podcast, they love what we talk about, and they also know that you lovely people who are listening are exactly the people that they want to know about their incredible app. It's still like adding features all the time as well at the moment, which is really exciting. Ultimately, it's a really handy tool for those of us who are maybe feeling quite worried about like headspace. I often find myself sitting there going, what have we done this week? I can't remember what we've been up to. I'm not necessarily a great forward planner. We come up with ideas, but we don't necessarily have like a set structure in place. And so it's really nice for me to just reflect on the photos we've taken and the things we've been up to every day. I don't log everything, but it gives me a chance to kind of give me a good basis of understanding of the sorts of subjects we've covered and the sorts of things the kids have been up to. Essentially, we'll be telling you more about them over the course of this next season. They'll be with us the whole season. We'll be trying out lots of different features on the app and letting you know all about them. And you can obviously go and have a go at using it.
Yeah, we've been using it for the past couple of weeks. And of course, this has coincided with the Easter holiday. So we haven't had a ton of like academic components to look at. But I found that while we're out and about, whether it's at a park or if we're at the horse stables or wherever we might be, that it's really easy to quickly add the activity and tag a few keywords just so you're kind of putting it in a bucket, whether that's around like physical education or spending some time with friends, whatever that looks like for you. There's pre-designated topics that are in there, and I've not personally played around with adjusting those yet, but that's sort of next on my list. But what I've loved is that I can just add that activity with very few clicks, choose to take a picture or not. And then it just shows me this very like neat and tidy flow of what we've been doing. And I'm really excited to sort of see how this develops as we go through with it across, going forward, basically. So I will continue to report back on how it's working for us. But so far, it's been pretty easy to use. It's very intuitive. And I'm excited to sort of add that academic component as we get back into more of our regular schedule next week.
Yeah, no, it's really, really good. I think it's always nice to be supporting an actual UK home ed family as well, who are just trying to make something for the community because they really get it and they really understand what it is that we're looking for. So we'll tell you more about it as we go on. But for today, we thought we'd introduce you to our season and what we're planning to do this season. Obviously, last season was all about looking at the different angles and perspectives of individuals who maybe have or have not had kind of a massive voice in the home ed community. So we're looking at race and gender equality and refugees and all kinds of interesting and quite emotional perspectives as well. So there's some really, really good episodes to go catch up on. If you find yourself wanting some really good books to help expand your kids' minds, if you want to expand your mind, if you want to consider some other perspectives, we covered some incredibly deep and interesting subjects on the last season before Christmas. But we have had a break, and I'll get to all where that has been in a minute. So thank you for your patience in waiting for us to come back to you. But ultimately, this season, we've got this kind of concept of week to week, we're going to pick a subject out of a hat. So me and Ashley have sat and come up with loads of obscure topics that we might cover. And we're going to pick one out of the hat. And then we've got to go away and cover it with our kids that week. coming up with whatever resources that we can find, anything at all. We're not going to tell each other what we're doing. That's the one main rule. We can't tell each other what we're doing between recording to give each other hints. We just have to come back together again and then discuss it. And we're going to be talking about things like, what were some of the observations the kids had? Where did they take it? Like, what was interesting about it for them? Was there anything fun or interesting that we found out whilst we did it? What other subjects did it end up touching on? Like, did we actually find that it had a really deep-seated basis in math or science or whatever? And ultimately kind of looking at, if we were to cover this subject more broadly or to include it more often in our home ed, what skills or types of knowledge are we helping our children to build, and sort of awarenesses and perspectives that we might be helping them to develop? Because there's so many, like, honestly, the things that we could learn about in this world are just insane. Like, there are so many things. And so no matter where you go with home ed, and that's what I always love about it, is kind of no matter where you go with it, you'll always find something interesting to cover and something that's important. And this is just going to give us a little bit of fun, really, something to be thinking about. But are you looking forward to, Ashley? Are you looking forward to having something different to talk about other than horses?
So that's the goal, right? I mean, I think this all came from our conversation that stemmed from, I think I was having a little bit of a rant about language arts. And sometimes you find yourself in those moments, right, where it's like, why does my kid need to know the name of every verb tense, like the pluperfect? Like, really? Like, is that going to help her writing? Or does she just intuitively know them? Like, does she need to know the name, I guess, was the specifics. She speaks the language fluently. We live here, right? So it's her first language. Is that going to mean that she can't be an author because she doesn't know all these things? I don't think so, right? I guess I was just sort of going down this rant, if you will, of like, who decided that this has to be a primary component of education for elementary school and then middle school and then high school? Like, why is English a component that's required for all of the children's educational years until they're considered an adult and can make that choice not to do it? But there's not something like changing the oil in your car, which in reality, whatever she does, she's probably going to drive a car every day of her life, more or less, unless she lives in a city. Fair enough. Yep. But most likely, given where we live now, she will need to drive a car. And so it probably would be helpful if she could change a tire successfully and change her oil. Why isn't that part of the required curriculum for all children? And not to say children, I mean, I don't want my 6-year-old changing a tire, but, as they get older, as it works for their physical abilities.
I don't know.
Like, why?
I'm pretty sure I've seen a 6-year-old changing tires.
I mean, definitely. So I think that there's like this, it's just a question of like, where did all these things come from? Who decided that they were the most important and that's it? And we've never revisited that, right? Aside from maybe adding in some technology components here and here, typing, okay, right, whatever that might be. So I kind of had this rant and we were like, well, what are the important things that we're probably neglecting? What are the important pieces that we do want our kids to learn about and that could give, some more breadth to their education and frankly are just interesting. So yeah, that's sort of how all this stemmed. And I'm super excited to actually have a practical component for us, like a little takeaway homework, if you will, to just actually report back to all those listening and say like, yeah, this totally worked, or no, this absolutely bombed. And like, we did a horrible job and my kids didn't care about it at all. Or no, look, we found this really cool resource, or we found this great video on YouTube, or we went to this cool place and this actually changed how we think about this. And we're going to now incorporate, XYZ going forward, that kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of potential here to like actually not only directly impact like your and my homeschool, home education for our children, but also to give some like really tangible pieces to the listeners who are maybe thinking the same thing we are. Like, hey, why don't we talk more about architecture or whatever? So yeah, I think it's also just going to give our kids a little more exposure to topics that they wouldn't necessarily be exposed to. So yeah, I think it's all good things.
And I think it's stuff like we're literally having this conversation yesterday as well about, there's a post that we both saw online that we were discussing that was basically calling out some of the things like when us as home educators say, well, like if you're looking for activities to do, then like, I don't know, like baking is math, like do some baking. And it's like, we tend to generalize that one as a this is a way of learning math. And it's like, well, of course it absolutely is. Like, you can do fractions and weighing and measuring and doubling recipes and all the things, right? Like, there's so much that you can learn, and not just math, but science and chemistry and the way the ingredients react together, where the ingredients come from, all of it. Like, there's so much you could get into with baking, for sure. But it's kind of used as this generalized, like, when you get into the forums, when people are saying, like, what do you guys do to help cover math? And people are like, oh, just do some baking. And it's like, it's used as an example an awful lot, but we kind of forget that there's so many other things to do. And like, I was saying to my son the other day, like, we went to do mini golf with our nan and pops, basically, with their grandparents. And I said to him, like, what you don't always realize is that there is school happening whilst we're doing something that is just fun, like stuff that would be considered important to cover in school, like, I don't know, like reading the menu in the cafe, deciding what you wanted to get, looking at how much it was, counting up your points when you were doing the mini golf. You were mentally, and you don't even realize you're doing it, but mentally calculating the force that you need to hit the ball with, the angle you need to hit it at to get it to bounce off of things, to change its angular direction. And ultimately, that kind of, all of those different things, there's so many different, I said there was science, there was maths, there was reading, there was like all the literacy stuff, there was social emotional, there was like all of it. And I said, like, if you think really, like, actually properly extracted everything from our day, you'd see that we touched on pretty much every subject that would get taught in schools very, very easily. And he was like, oh, great, so we could just go play mini golf every day and learn everything we need to know. And I'm just like, well, no.
Well, no, this
like,
is the one time.
That's just like a mathematical concept or a scientific concept or a certain type of literacy. Like, it's not, it's a certain type of vocabulary or whatever. Like, that this is not everything that you need to know. It's just, it complements it and it adds something to it. And I think what I really want to see is, if some of these subjects that we've picked, like, what random input does it actually end up giving us? Like, for example, another great example, we were looking at the Greek alphabet the other day. My son's massively into the Greeks in just about every possible way at the moment. And we were started to have a look at the letters and found out they were also using them as numbers. And then we were looking at how they're used now in scientific and mathematical kind of equations and what they're used for. So some of them are like used for talk, or for like psi. One of the ones we looked at is actually the beginning of the word psychiatry, and psychology begins the study of the mind, but it's also used for logical, like the collection of logical statements in math. So, like, the symbols are used for these different things. And his fascination with this was off the charts. And like, we ended up researching a few of the different letters and like where they come from, what people are using them for, what does that mean, what does logic mean. And like, we went down this lovely, for like a kids encyclopedia online. It was fantastic. And we were just reading and just clicking the links where it came like another word. And he's like, oh, I want to learn more about that. We learned about Fibonacci numbers and all kinds of stuff. And I think that no matter what you cover, it does lead you off, if you allow it to, down this lovely meandering path of fascinating thoughts and ideas. And what I really want to do is see if some of the subjects that I wouldn't necessarily think they'd be that interested in, or you wouldn't necessarily pick it up thinking this is a subject to learn about, actually could end up giving you some really interesting insight, or I don't know, who knows, maybe like triggering an interest in going and doing that one day, or evolving it, or improving it, or doing something cool about it. Like, the people who developed the steam engine didn't develop it just like because they developed it because they were trying to improve productivity or efficiency. And you know what I mean, like these were people who are really clever, thoughtful tinkerers and collaborators, and ultimately that has only happened because of the situations they're in and the experiences they had. And that was the other thing we were talking about, wasn't it, is that kind of, if we don't expose them to things, then they'll never know if it's something which is interesting and relevant for them. Like, they will never know. And we love I love picking up random topics anyway. That is totally the way we home ed. But for some, I know sometimes it can feel a bit overwhelming. So I guess I want to make that easier. I want to give you guys some fun stuff to do with your kids that you might really love a topic we did. So you can either do it along with us as a challenge. So you can literally do it along with us, and we're going to post hopefully every week, and you can come and comment what you did and whether or not you joined in, or you can do it the week after using our ideas. Completely up to you how you'd like to play it. But that was kind of the thought behind it. It should be really fun. So I don't know whether or not we want to pick. Do we want to pick our subject for next week now, Ashley, and then we can talk about that? Or should we just chat about life and what we've been up to first? Should we do the pick at the end? Should we keep people hanging?
Let's do pick at the end. I like it.
Maybe we should. Let's do pick at the end. We'll do that right at the end. There you go. There's a little bit of hook for everybody. Keep listening. So how have you been, Ashley? What have you been up to? Because it's been ages. I know we've all been missing now
I
for months, and I'm so
know.
sorry for everyone who has been catching up on old episodes to keep yourselves going. We've missed you
Yeah.
too. We've missed talking to you all.
Yes, I was waking up this morning and just thinking like, oh, we're back to the podcast. Like, and it does kind of anchor the day, right? And it gives a little more purpose, a little more direction. And it's just an exciting thing to be doing. So we're so thankful, obviously, to all the listeners who keep us going here. And since, I guess, really since before Christmas when we took a break, there's just been sort of a lot and at the same time nothing new. I mean, we've just been going along. We swapped our share ponies, so we ended up finding just a better fit, and that's been consuming the lives of my children and myself. At least one day a week anyway. In fact, we're going later today. And so they're just loving that. We're still massively into horses and trying to find out how we can become more involved, shy of purchasing our own. And so I feel like the horse world does really want you to have your own pony to do a lot of the activities and stuff like that that the little ones would be involved in anyway. And it's just not something we can commit to. So this has been our greatest
Mm.
compromise is just a 1 day a week share pony. And the girls are really loving that. We have been just moving along with school and all the activities, which every time I feel like we're going to peel back, we end up somehow leaning in more. My two youngest started to do Stagecoach, which is a acting, singing, and dancing group once a week. And then at the end of the term, they do this little recital or performance. And they loved that. I was super worried because it's a 3-hour drop off. But they loved it, loved it, loved it. So it worked out really, really well. And we're just getting ready for what's teeing up to be a pretty busy summer. So it's yeah, more travel coming up, hopefully some nicer sunny weather here in England. And if not, then thankfully we're going to escape it when we travel. So yeah,
If the weather's not good, I'm coming with you. You're just going to have to make it work because
please do.
I am so ready for a good summer this year. Like I really, really am.
Me too. Me too.
It's been so wet, hasn't it? And I think definitely kind of like through January and early February, I was just in such a dark place. Oh my goodness, the rain. I just couldn't take it anymore.
It was nonstop.
So grateful for the sunshine. I felt my entire personality shift the second we got some sunshine. And we've had
Yeah.
like it really feels like it's gone by in a flash, if I'm perfectly frank. I have no idea where the past few months has gone. I've completely finished an ADHD coaching course, which is huge. So that's basically me now, very, very newly qualified. Like I've just got to get my last paperwork submitted and then I'll be qualified. So I've got one more coaching session practice to do with each of my practice clients. So that's really exciting. So that will give, once I've got myself accredited with the Universal Coaching Alliance as well, within the next couple of months, I'll actually have letters after my name, which is absolutely awesome. That's really, really cool. So I'm really proud of that. And obviously means that I'm that much more resourced now to support families and individuals who have got neurodivergence going on, and way safer an option for them to get that support that they need, which is really, really wonderful. We've also done Screen-Free March, which I honestly never imagined that my kids would opt in to a challenge like that, but they did. We had a chat about it in February, and as soon as the sun started coming out, I was like, what would it be like if we just said no to staying at home on screens for a month and we just like kept going out instead? Like just go and have fun and see people and be in the garden and do stuff. And they're like, oh, that sounds really fun. And I think all of us have just been so locked up tight over the winter and bored. We were just so grateful for the idea to just get out more and to see people more and do things. And it's been such a lovely shake up. I'm really mourning the end of March, if I'm perfectly honest. Like I'm really missing that kind of, everyone was just so present, and I spent so much time with my kids, but it was all so much calmer. And yeah, if you feel like you could tolerate it, then I highly recommend it, because I honestly thought it was going to be crazy, like that I'd hate it, I'd be really stressed. And don't get me wrong, there's a window I've realized roughly between 3 and 5 o'clock in the afternoon where I really would like everybody to go away. I have definitely realized I have got a little window there that needs a cup of tea and a biscuit and some peace and quiet. But
yeah,
the rest of the time, honestly, I've really loved it. It's a time when they're like asking me to play chess repeatedly, and like can you come and come in this picture with me? Can you read me a story? And I'm just like, no, I've had enough now. I've put a lot of effort into today. I think I'm done. Bless them. No, they've been really great though. I've loved seeing how industrious they are. My daughter has jumped over the milestone of being able to read during that time because she's obviously had nothing better to do. So she's been picking up books. It's just so
I love
funny.
that. If you're stuck in a reading slump, just take the screens away. That's the trick.
Just take the screens away. They're just like desperate for story time, basically. Like TV with stories, isn't it? Really, just made into a visual thing. So I guess it's just like reignited the love for it. But no, she's doing a great job with all of that. And yeah, so anyway, so it's been lovely. But yeah, I'm really excited that the course is finished. So I've got my Tuesday mornings back, which means that we can now get back to recording. Because mine and Ashley's busy schedules means that we basically have one good clear morning a week that's supposed to be when we record. And if that's busy, then we've not got much chance.
Yeah.
It's a bit mental, isn't it, really? But yeah, really happy to be back and really excited to be talking to you guys again and sharing our little tidbits of wisdoms and ideas and to hear from you guys as well. Obviously, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, so do come and find us. It's Big Home Ed Podcast. Just go and look for us. Drop us a follow, send us a message, tell us what you think of this season's ideas and what we're going to be doing. And also comment and give us what you've been up to each week. So if you want to follow on the challenge with us, then please do comment and tell us what you're doing, because it'd be so fun to kind of almost have those posts collect loads of ideas around what our subject is that week. People giving us suggestions and things that you've loved doing around that before. And also like the random hidden insights that your kids might end up having around it as well, because I suspect our kids are going to come up with some really interesting angles for these subjects for sure.
Yes, lots of good questions.
They're so good at that. So yeah, so I think without further ado, should we pick a subject and start off our fun new topic? So shall I go and get us a subject out? What are we hoping for, Ashley? Are we hoping for anything good?
I don't know. There's so many good ones in there. Maybe something on like mental health or running a country or politics. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, we've put some good ones in here, haven't we? Okay.
They're all good.
We've got it. Ooh, this one's quite a meaty one to start off with. So this one is capital allocation and investing. Oh no, I was kind of hoping we could break ourselves in gently. Okay, so
like philosophy or something.
Yeah, something gentle would have been nice. Okay, capital allocation and investing. Do you know what? It really couldn't come at a better time though when you think about it. With the way the world has been very recently, and obviously the panic we all feel when like the fuel prices are through the roof, and we're panicking about our bills going up and stuff like that. I think that this is so important, and it is definitely not something that I was given much guidance on as a child. I really don't think I knew much about this beyond earn money, pay your bills. Like I always had pay your bills first. That was literally yeah, exactly. Like I don't know if I even got that. I literally was just like, pay your bills, ideally buy a house, don't rent it. And I'm pretty sure that's about as much as I knew about kind of capital allocation when I was a kid. Like I really don't think I knew anything about investing until very recently. What was the advice you got around that as a kid? Did you know about it when you became an adult and you had to start managing your own money?
Yeah, so we were given some general guidance, and it was more along the lines of like, put your money in an investment fund and just watch it go, and don't touch it until you're 60, right, or something like that. My parents are
just leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone. My parents are very good with their money. They've invested quite wisely over the years. But I think, and this is something that my husband and I talk about a lot, because I think because money, and this might be an American thing, I think because money is such a personal component, like you don't share how much you have, you don't share how much you make, you don't like, so growing up, I never knew my parents' salaries. I never knew how much money we had. It just is something that's like a very personal thing. So you could make obvious like judgments looking at where people lived or how they dressed or the cars they drove or the vacations they went on. And like, but that's not really a good window, right? Because it all depends on how people manage their money. I had a friend who lived in a very modest house, and never needed material things, but they had a ton of money in the bank. So looks can be deceiving, I
Mm.
guess, is my point for that. But I think that in the States, what you make is very private and personal, and it's not something that that you share with others. Like again, I didn't know my friends' salaries. Like when we all entered the workforce, like it was not something you spoke about. So I remember we went to Italy, we moved to Italy, and my husband would just tell his friends the salary of the job that he had, or versions of it, I guess. And I was just flabbergasted. And I was like, I don't think we should talk about that. Like that feels like something that we wouldn't just share randomly. And I've noticed
Mm.
that with a lot of the professions, it was very common to understand how much people were making, and it just wasn't this guarded thing. And so I think that that
Mm.
perspective really sheltered a lot of my understanding of investing before I went and studied it myself.
Mm.
So I think
Yes.
that that is something where I definitely would love for my kids to have a much stronger foundation. And now is the right time, right? I mean, I know, for example, my nephews who are in like high school age, they recently they got their own investment accounts, and they are putting in some of their own money towards that. I did not contribute to an investment account
Mm.
in my teens. It wasn't until I had a job. So, I mean, they're getting like birthday money and things like this, I'm assuming, and already starting to put that
Mm.
money to work for them, right, for their future. And I think that is such a
Yeah.
smart thing to do. And I also think that there is a lot of people who kind of get stuck in a rut. And I'm not going to know the right name of this, but like, you know how your mind wants to stay with what's familiar? So I think developing habits now of investing and
Mm.
saving, and not investing for yourself, like you said, owning a home. Yeah, you don't want to throw that rent money away. You want to, when you pay your mortgage, you're paying it into yourself. I mean, obviously there's an interest component, but
Yeah.
largely,
Yeah.
you're paying that money back to yourself. And so that is the
Yeah.
kind of mentality that I want my children to have, which is no, there is comfort in
Yeah.
having savings. I don't want them to feel comfort
Mm-hmm.
in buying the newest clothes, right? So kind of
Yes.
developing that
Yeah.
brain right now feels really crucial. So I think this is a great
Yeah.
topic.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really important. And I mean, I've definitely sort of sat and done some bits with my kids on this just because I've been playing with like Plum and stuff like that, where you can invest like tiny,
Mm,
tiny amounts of money into stuff. But I am looking forward to showing them how it grows. And like, there's so much maths to this as well. And like,
yes,
yeah,
compound
sort of
interest.
watching
Let's learn about that.
exponential growth and yeah,
Mhm.
some graphs and stuff. Like there's some really good stuff here that I think is going to be really great for kind of just demonstrating something to them. And I guess we're just going to have to figure out how to try not to make this too dry.
Well,
Try to get them
did you
warmed up.
have in
Um,
school,
it's going to
like,
be
do you
tricky at
remember?
times.
Yeah, we had in school where the first thing was like, would you rather have like $1 million or a penny a day doubled for like a 30 days or something like that? And everyone's initial
Mm,
reaction is like, oh no, I'll take that $1 million. Or I don't remember if that's the right number. So I'd have to actually go back and look at the math on this. But I'm sure
yeah.
we can find that, and we can work out with our kids like, what would it be if you took, I guess, a pence a day doubled
Hmm.
for 30 days? Like, would that get you better off
Yeah.
than doing the straight payout, right? So yeah, lots of fun
Mm.
here.
Yeah, no, I know exactly what you mean, that it does grow really well. And I think it's I guess it's like it's conversations around their future and maybe some of the stuff they'd maybe like to have as a grown up, and like what sorts of
Yes.
things, like how much a house price is now versus how much are they likely to be when they grow up. Like, oh my god, it makes me feel
Right.
sick sometimes when I
Right.
think about that. Like, God knows how they're going to afford a house. But ultimately, I think these are like super important conversations for them to be thinking about. Like, can
Hmm.
I do something now, or can I start to understand how I could save my money? And I mean, they've both recently saved up to buy their own pets, and they wanted to get a kitten and a snake. And so it's like, okay, great. Well, in order to get that, I need to see some commitment. And so they both had to save £150. And it took them well over 6 months of selling stuff and pocket money and doing extra stuff to earn it and all the rest of it. But it felt like a really great exercise in not just Like, when you go to like a zoo and you go, I hate the gift shops. I hate them so much because it doesn't even matter. Like, if they got like £10 pocket money or whatever that they can spend, like the decision takes forever, and like they just want to spend it. Even if they can't find something they really want, they just want to spend some money. They just want something to take away with them that day, and it becomes so consumerist.
Yes.
And I much prefer to have a lovely nest egg of money sitting in the bank for the moments. I like experiences. I like to be able to spend my money on memories. I want something that I'm going to remember. I'm not going to remember a nice set of pens I bought myself. I'm going to remember the trip that we took to the zoo that day. So I want to save money for those things. That stuff matters to me. And I guess it's a great opportunity to discuss values and their future and all the rest of it. So anyway, I think there's so much, so many angles we could take this down. There's no right or wrong answer here, people, either. So if you're following on a challenge with us and you want to do this yourself, there is no right or wrong. Anything we've discussed, plus anything else you think of that could be related to this in some way. And also, like, your personal lived experiences, talking about the experiences of your parents and how they managed. Like, my parents, for example, my dad was homeless when he met my mum, like, obviously very, very long time ago. And he's built himself up into this incredible life that he has worked so hard to make happen. And so has my mum, obviously. And at one point they were both working 3 jobs and all these things. And it's like, when you think about the effort and the sustained kind of momentum of life and how important that was to kind of get them into a state of having capital to allocate, like money to actually put in a pension and whatever, right? Like, that was a massive, massive thing for them. And ultimately I that definitely feeds into my attitude around money. And often we do get really worried about our kids having too much or things being too easy and them not having to fight for stuff. And ultimately that can obviously make them less appreciative of the cost of the world around them. I think my son the other day was somewhere and he's like, oh, it's only £3 for an ice cream. That's not so bad. I was like, oh my goodness. Like, you really have, like, it was just like, you need to realize that for me, 99p out for an ice cream was a lot when I was growing up. Like, that's crazy. But ultimately it's just a different perspective, different generation. And we obviously have lived through the pandemic, which has had a global effect on people's capital as well and investments. So yeah, loads of current affairs and all sorts of stuff that could be related to this. So have fun with it, guys. Enjoy it too. We will have some fun covering it with our kids this week. And we'll see where we end up taking it and what we end up doing with it. What interest they show in it as well. And I think let's definitely see what fun stuff is out there. And we'll share with you what we found next week. But I hope you enjoy this series. I hope you have fun with it. And yeah, we're really glad to be back. So thank you for taking some time to listen to us today, as always.
You've been listening to the Big Home Ed Conversations podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Big Home Ed Podcast for updates. Also, check out our new website at bighomedpodcast.com. We'll be back next week to talk about our experiences, bringing the topic of capital allocation and investing to our children. We hope to hear your experience as well, so come talk to us about it on social media. Thanks, everyone.